2035. That is the hard migration deadline set by the U.S. National Security Agency for its commercial National Security Algorithm Suite 2.0. By that year, absolutely all national security systems have to be completely migrated to a new mathematical foundation of digital trust. Now, I know 2035 might sound like a distant horizon, but the compliance clock for the rest of the market, it's already started ticking. Welcome to the era of post-quantum cryptography.
Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at a crucial executive briefing, specifically tailored for the leadership of medium and regional professional services firms across the UK. We're talking directly to the managing partners of law firms, accountancy practices, and financial advisory groups. If you've been putting the quantum computing transition into that future IT problem bucket, well, we're going to show you exactly why that is just not a safe option anymore.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll cover the quantum threat, the concept of harvest now, decrypt later, the specific professional services risk, supply chain liability, and finally, your leadership action plan. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The quantum threat is absolutely here right now.
You know, for a long time, quantum computing felt a bit like science fiction. But that wait-and-see era is definitively over, and we can thank Shor's algorithm for that. Right now, our entire digital trust rests on math that is practically impossible for traditional computers to solve. But a large quantum computer using Shor's algorithm completely changes the game. It will literally crack the encryption protecting our digital world, not in millions of years, but in mere moments.
And global authorities are definitely not waiting around. Just back in August 2024, NIST, that's the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, finalized the very first official peer-reviewed algorithms to replace our vulnerable cryptography. The solutions are ready, folks. That means vendors and firms officially no longer have an excuse to delay.
Moving on to Section 2, Harvest Now, Decrypt Later.
Let's uncover this invisible, ticking time bomb that fundamentally shifts how we need to think about security today. Before we get into the tactic itself, we really need to define the weapon. We're talking about a cryptographically relevant quantum computer, or a CRQC. It's a bit of a mouthful. But essentially, this is the future machine capable of breaking current encryption. Industry consensus places its arrival somewhere between 2030 and 2040. But there's meaningful risk it could happen even earlier.
Now, here's the pattern that makes this a today problem. Adversaries, think nation-state intelligence services or really highly funded criminal groups, they are not waiting for a CRQC to be built. Right now, as we speak, they're capturing and hoarding encrypted internet traffic and files at an astonishing scale. They can't read your data today, sure, but they're stockpiling it with the explicit intent to decrypt it retroactively the second that CRQC arrives.
This whole situation is summed up perfectly by this idea. The encryption hasn't failed, the threat model has just shifted right underneath it. If you're a managing partner, what this really means is that every single sensitive client email sent or document uploaded to a secure portal today is a present tense risk that compounds daily. The confidentiality window closes when the quantum computer arrives, not when the encryption is broken today.
Which brings us to Section 3, the professional services risk.
Why do mid-sized law and accounting firms find themselves in such a uniquely dangerous spot compared to a regular corporation? Well, it all comes down to the lifespan of your data. Think about it. A retailer's credit card data expires in a few years, right? But a professional services firm, you're sitting on multi-generational obligations, M&A negotiation records, intellectual property, estate plans. If this data is exposed 10, 20, or even 50 years from now, it is still catastrophic. Your core asset isn't just data, it's client trust.
If we take this technical math and translate it into pure governance, it becomes a massive issue of liability. In the UK, professional services firms operate under incredibly strict regimes. You've got the Solicitors Regulation Authority, the ICAW Code of Ethics, FCA rules, and of course GDPR Article 32. They all demand appropriate technical measures and effective governance. None of these explicitly name post-quantum cryptography yet, but an eventual decryption event is going to trigger devastating personal and regulatory liability for partners who took zero action after those standards were finalized in 2024.
Let's look at Section 4, Supply Chain Risk and Liability. We really need to examine how this exposure literally bleeds through your firm's operations and vendors. This is way beyond a niche IT issue. It touches every single encrypted asset class you have. We're talking data at rest, communications in transit, your public key infrastructure, blockchain ledgers, and those long-lived digital signatures. If a contract is signed today using legacy cryptography, that signature could theoretically be forged tomorrow. Let's ground this abstract threat in a very visceral, concrete reality. Just imagine a typical 200-partner law firm. They likely have around 80,000 active matters, and let's say a 12-year email archive totaling something like 40 million emails. Right now, practically all of that is sitting on cryptography that is mathematically guaranteed to fail. Their document management system, their client portals, their e-signatures, the whole shebang. A single firm's exposure is massive, it's measurable, and it is highly vulnerable.
And you aren't just going to feel pressure from regulators, you're going to feel it straight from your clients. Upstream corporate clients are already preparing for this. Between 2026 and 2027, we forecast that large corporate buyers are going to start dropping PQC readiness requirements right into their supplier due diligence questionnaires. If your firm can't demonstrate a solid migration plan, it's going to directly threaten your ability to win those large engagements.
Finally, Section 5, your Leadership Action Plan.
Okay, take a deep breath. We've outlined the problem, but let's pivot to the solution. The immediate objective here is not to panic and demand some overnight technical fix from your IT department. That's literally impossible. Instead, the goal is establishing cryptographic agility. This is a board-level governance framework that structures your systems and vendor relationships so cryptography can be swapped out smoothly as standards evolve, without having to tear down and rebuild your entire infrastructure.
To actually achieve that agility, we look at a 4-phase adoption curve: awareness, inventory, pilot, and migration. Right now, most firms are just waking up, entering the awareness phase. But the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that you need to urgently push into phase 2, inventory. Your board needs to mandate a cryptographic asset inventory right now. You have to locate every instance of vulnerable cryptography across your estate and map out your vendor dependencies. Because at the end of the day, you simply can't fix what you haven't found.
So to help you build out this exact roadmap, we're launching a 90-day action plan, kicking off with an upcoming webinar called PQC, a Leadership Briefing. This session is tailor-made specifically for non-technical leadership at professional services firms. We're going to give you the exact questions you need to be asking your IT directors, your cloud vendors, and your cyber insurers to get your firm's transition underway effectively and, most importantly, confidently.
I want to leave you with a rather provocative thought as we wrap up today's explainer. With adversaries out there harvesting data today to decrypt tomorrow, is your firm's legacy, your multi-generational client trust, your highly sensitive M&A data, your intellectual property, is it all already sitting in an adversary's vault? The threat model has fundamentally shifted, and it's time for your governance to shift right along with it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I highly encourage you to register for the upcoming briefing to start securing your firm's future right now.